So, last time, on Need for Speed Most Wanted, we did row 15 of the challenge series, and now we have just 2 rows to go, as our first one is another Tollbooth time trial, and we have got to do this one in under 5 minutes to get to our next one. And you pretty much get the picture by now. We use one car for 2 events, and then basically we move over to whatever the next car is. Okay, let's go. I'm pretty sure most of you know how this works now, if you've been following along. And here we go, as this time we're driving... I think this is the Vauxhall Monaro, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is definitely the Vauxhall Monaro I hear here. I'm really starting to wonder right now if it's even worth it for me to use words to describe just virtually how ball-bustingly hard basically the last quarter of the challenge series up to this point has been. As in, it feels like the 4th quarter of this. It feels like it's just basically been a case of me just having to push right to my very limits just to somehow get this done, and to also make sure that I use pretty much every skill I have attained in the game just to find some way of making this work. Because at this time, I really do wonder. And to make matters even worse, I also have to deal with level 5 and level 6 cops to basically end this off and make basically the end of this game almost feel like pain and misery. Because I feel like at this point that's probably what I can say the last quarter of the challenge series has basically been. It's basically just been pain, evasion, it's basically just been pain, evasion, agony, anarchy, and basically just a case of me having to basically push the cars I drive to basically the absolute limit. And I have to do whatever it takes to physically limit the damage of obvious mistakes that I am going to wind up making. Even if there is no way for me to avoid them. Yeah, when I mentioned this game can be notoriously unforgiving, it can be notoriously unforgiving if you get it wrong. Whether it be because you miss one sector split by a few meters or by a few feet, this game will punish you greatly. And it will definitely double down on the punishments it dishes out to you if you fail to escape the Rockport police. Because they will beat you to a pulp once they stop you. At least that's what the busted cutscenes seem to indicate. And I feel like at this point, that's honestly the one way to describe this. Am I up to this point? I feel like because I'm just having to push so hard with some of these cars that I drive. You honestly could argue that in some cases, because you have to push it to the point where you know you're going fast, after a while, if you don't think you're basically one of the fastest drivers in the world when you play this game, then the punishment this game can dish out to you, it's honestly the equivalent of being cut by a machete. Because this game will physically punish you in practically any way imaginable if you do not make it to your targets or reach. Yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna follow the road this time, because last time I think that was where I got it wrong. How did I pull off that save? I have no idea how I did it, but I just saved it. Man, that was fucking wild is what that was. Anyway, I make it this time with a ton of time to spare. Also, something else I should mention about the Vauxhall Monaro is that, or Holden Monaro, if you're watching this from Australia, to those of you who are V8 supercar fans, you will of course know that this car did go on to win the Supercars Championship. I think it was 3 times in the 2000s, because it went on to win the championship with, I think it was Mark Scaife twice, and then it was Rick Kelly with the 3rd one in 2006, I think it was. But either way, the Monaro has definitely had plenty of success, both on the street and also on the racetrack as well. Although, over here, however, the Holden Monaro is basically badged as a Vauxhall Monaro around these parts. And unfortunately, this is a car that's not really in production anymore because, well, whenever a lot of people think of the V8 supercars, they normally think of the Holden Commodore. And also Peter Brock. Anyway, we've got 7 events to go now. And our next one is we have to dodge 10 Spikestrips. And we are up in the country club area. Oh boy, is this one gonna be interesting. Still, I have to say, with these Tollbooth time trials recently, it is kind of wearing me out, to the point where I practically have to feel like I'm one of the fastest drivers in the world just to get through these Tollbooth time trials, and to basically prove that I'm practically just going like a bat out of hell at basically what feels like Mach 3 speeds, because of just how much adrenaline this game physically puts on you. Honestly, if this game was basically an 18 plus game like Grand Theft Auto, I am pretty sure they would no doubt murder me. I'm pretty sure if they were going to do anything And if this was basically a PEGI 18 game, I have no doubts in saying that they would probably taser me. If this was an age 18 game like Grand Theft Auto, they would have probably tasered me and then shot me by now. By the time they will have busted me. That's probably what I think would have happened. So that's why I'm not taking the highway, because if I do, then I will practically be too vulnerable and I will fail. That's why I chose to dive into Rosewood, to basically see if I could practically cut these dicks off. Because that's all they're really being right now, they're just being dicks. And at this point, I honestly cannot wait for this to be over. Because my god, am I gonna be exhausted after this. Because at this point, I practically do feel like I am just getting exhausted. Because of just how hard I'm having to push it. At this point, at least, I just want the game to be finished. Just regardless of what happens. And regardless of how many more Corvettes I manage to cut off. I feel like I have to use about as many roadblocks as I can. Okay, where is he? Shit! Okay. Okay, I got out. I really thought for sure that double whammy was going to be a bad thing, but it proved to be just the opposite. Fuck you! Suck my atomic arrow, you dick. I really cannot wait for this game to be done. Because of just how physically draining it has been for me to just go this fast.
X-ray 11. Please update. Supervisor monitoring and requesting sitrep.
I mean, that's not to say the game isn't fun, it's just a case of me having to just be acceptable of the fact that, at this point at least, this game is not giving these events to me on a plate. It's basically a case of this game just trying to do whatever it takes for me to basically go to the absolute limit of basically every car I drive, and just trying to prove that I can effectively put in as much damage limitation as humanly possible. Which I have got to say, at this point of the game, it's really hard to do. Especially if you're not masochistically committed to the game as much as I am when it comes to just the trial error and occasional nausea that you get when trying to beat these games as much as you can. And showing that you can very much be up there with probably the best of the best. I have no idea how I got down off of that. There was a really good possibility that says I could have stalled the car if I was hanging on there much longer than I was. That would have been a lot worse had I not got on the gas and immediately shifted into first gear afterwards, after I was in neutral. And now we've got another herd of Corvettes behind us. Can I get through? Yes, I can. By the skin of my teeth, I get through. Okay. Can we continue doing this? Alright, so we just need another 3 of these to go, and now it's only 2. Oh, correction, that makes 1 to go. For whatever reason. Unless that was the 8th roadblock I dodged up ahead. Anyway, 1 to go. Oh, correction, that's not 1 to go. Well, at least I wasn't completely wrong. Okay. And hitting the luxury yacht. Hopefully that should slow him down just a little bit. He tries to brake test me, but he's not going to. Or brake check, I should say. And that should slow more of them down. And now I just need 1 more roadblock. Okay, we're now up to 2.5 million bounty at this point. And someone has run into the gas station pursuit breaker. And those 2 SUVs, they just missed me. And now we've got 1 more spike strip to go. And I smashed through both the Corvettes. And now I need some more pursuit breakers to break them off once and for all. Oh good, there's another one up ahead. However, it's a normal roadblock, so we are fine. Not on your life. I have come too far. And now I have gone a step too far. Although, before I say that, there was no one behind me to block me off, so I got a lucky escape. Okay, now I need to get to a cooldown spot sooner rather than later. Let's see what happens. Okay, I know where I have to go from here. Okay, alright. Okay, I need to go around the other side. Okay. Okay, it's not here. Okay, don't want to cause too much attention. Okay, come on, get in, get in, get in, get in. Okay, we're in. Okay, we're safe. Well, took me a few tries to get there, but on the 3rd attempt, I somehow managed to get away from a head-on hit with an 11th roadblock, and I get precisely 3,690,006 bounty points Nice. Or I should say 3.69 million bounty points. Nice. And we got 6 unserved infractions, and the pursuit overall went on for 8 minutes, and we immobilized 31 police vehicles. Another one bites the dust, and I have already been recording this for 43 minutes to get there. It definitely goes to show just how hard basically the last quarter, or basically the second half of the challenge series has really been. As in, I'm just having to push myself right to the absolute limits to just get these done. And we need to set a time in less than 7 minutes. And that's going to be hard because I know there's going to be plenty of traffic and cops to basically try and stop the run before it really begins. Hey, we're driving the... I think this is the CLK 500 we're now driving here. And I get the perfect launch. Hey, I remember this car. I am not taking a double whammy. Not like that. I really cannot wait for this to be done. I'm just going to say that now. This game is really wearing me out, because I'm just having to push so hard with every car I drive. I'm practically having to be near flawless with these runs I take. And it feels like at this point I am basically asking for something that almost feels like it's going to be impossible to get. Because there are just so many cars and cops that just keep showing up around every physical area I can look. That it's just constantly happening to the point where it almost isn't fun anymore. And I say almost because I still genuinely like the game. But at this point, I feel like the recent trial and error struggles I have had with just basically the second half of the challenge series period, it really is making me question if some of these are even decisively fun anymore. Because I feel like at this point, it's becoming increasingly harder to tell if I'm actually enjoying myself with this, or if I'm basically just finding new ways to physically wear myself out. Because if you stay committed to the game long enough, eventually you do reach a point where you are going to have to ask yourself if you're actually having fun playing the game, or if because you're having to go so fast in the game, if your sanity really is up for debate. Because if I had to do these types of speeds in real life, it would be pure insanity. And I have no doubts in saying that continually doing it outside of a video game, I would immediately refuse
Situation report when you can.
if I was doing this outside of a video game. Because I know these are the sorts of speeds that would practically kill me, as well as basically the people around me. This is definitely the sort of thing that I would never do in real life. Just to be clear. I understand the game's pure sense of speed, but what I also understand is that at times the game can get very punishing if you don't manage to nail it in the areas where you're supposed to nail it. At this point, it is becoming obvious to me that this kind of is what the game is essentially putting me through. And I really don't think it's possible for me to ignore it anymore. I mean, do I still think the game is fun? Yes. But I will admit, there have definitely been certain points where it does feel like this game has worn me out. In other words, it's practically burned me out to the point where I feel like this, combined with the uni work I just finished, it quite simply is something that almost feels like it is continually punishing me for mistakes that aren't exactly my responsibility. But yet the game has to make them my responsibility for whatever reason. Fuck off. Okay. I really hope that did not cost me too much time. Because if it did, then I'm gonna be mad. Just gonna say that now. I'm physically gonna be mad if that costed me too much time. Okay, we've got a bit more breathing room now. We've got another minute on the clock, thankfully. And I almost hit 200 in mid-air. I think my top speed down that straight was 198. It was almost 200. That is insane, especially coming from a super saloon, which is basically what this is. And someone has hit the radio. And someone has hit the radio station pursuit breaker. Well, that's fine with me. It means I get to deal with one last cop on the streets. This was not a good idea. Well, at least I did not go straight into the wood, which would have been awful if I had. Okay. Just got one sector split to go. As long as I don't run into too many cars from here, I should be fine. Okay, there are no shortcuts there. It's gonna be close, but I think I'll make it. I think I will be very close if I don't make it. But I think I should have just enough time to get there. Okay, final corner, on the boost again, and I make it with 5 seconds to spare. I gotta say, and yep, my top speed in the end was 198, and an average speed of 133 with 14 traffic collisions. And I finish in the end with 5.3 seconds to spare. In my Mercedes CLK 500. Thank God that's over. I'm not gonna lie, when you've been committed to practically pushing this hard in a video game, when you're basically trying to do this combining with your outside work, after a while, it really does take a toll on you. And I can certainly say that's what the case has been up to this point, because, well, I did just get out of my uni coursework by finishing that. But still, I want to finish this off because, well, I'm not going to be doing another playthrough for another 2 weeks because, my god, I really need a break once I'm done with this. Okay, so we need to trade paint with 20 cars, or whatever police vehicles there are. That to me is one of those not a problem challenges, because I know they're going to pop up all over the place. Really doesn't seem to matter where I am. I will basically find a way of trading paint with practically all of them if I can. Not on your life. I feel like I'm going to keep saying that until this game is over, because I really want this game to be over.
Right, we have a visual holding right above. We're holding above him.
And the chopper's in the air. Okay. Well, our pursuing escapades continue. And I run into an SUV who almost stops me, but does not. And down goes the Rockport radio tower. Okay. Alright. I'm honestly amazed to say that wasn't 2 police vehicles I traded paint with there. There was definitely enough there for that to be 2 vehicles I traded paint with. You ain't stopping me that easy. You better think again if you're gonna stop me as easily as you think you are. Get fucked. Okay, so apparently it doesn't refer to me immobilizing the police vehicles, but I do have to trade paint with the police vehicles. So in other words, I basically have to collide with them without crashing them, is essentially what this is. And the pursuit breaker has claimed another victim. And now we have just 1 vehicle to go. 1 vehicle left, and then this will be over. And that will honestly be a relief for me because, well, the sooner I get this done, the sooner I can actually get out of this. Okay, we've got our target. Now I just need to lose this 1 copper, and then we're done. Okay, he's dead. And on the brakes, and heading the other way, and we are now into hiding. Okay, we're done.
Remaining units, be advised, vehicle went BCB, westbound on Lennox Road. Supervisor requesting you set up a quadrant ASAP. Units remain
I am
on
glad
code
that's
6 status
over.
until further notice.
Anyway, we have just 1 row remaining. Here in the challenge series, as we score another 2.1 million bounty, and all that took me was 3 minutes and 17 seconds to get there. And I also did it on my first try as well. So we damaged 21 police vehicles, immobilised 18, we dodged 5 Spikestrips and 5 roadblocks, we got 5 unserved infractions, and the cost to state is precisely $141,450. Alrighty. That just leaves one row, and I really can't wait for the challenge series to be over. Because this has been a long time coming for me personally. But anyway, we made it. We've got just 2% of the game to go now, and all that's left is one row in the challenge series.